Well, good day to you, friends. Seamus here, and we have a lovely story for you this morning. But first, just let me take a moment to thank all the folks that have joined our coffee club. Our family really appreciates it, and if you're curious, you can find out more down in the comments. Anyway, this morning we have a tale about a father and son, a most unusual situation that I hope you'll enjoy. And it begins, well, not quite once upon a time, but many, many years ago, there was a particular man who had a very particular job. You see, he was the senior clerk to a small royal kingdom. And he was also the primary advisor to the young king of that kingdom. So not only was he responsible for all the record keepers and all the chroniclers and everybody that wrote things down, they all answered to him. He was also expected to be able to counsel this young king on a wide variety of areas of interest. So as you can imagine, he spent many hours every day studying all of the ancient manuscripts and the tomes of the past and the ancient wisdom and everything he could get his hands on to prepare himself for giving good service to his king. And because he spent so much time studying, he needed time alone. Well, in addition to all of his very important work, this man was also a husband and a father. And at home, he had an 8-year-old, very energetic, very precocious son. And if you've ever had little ones around the house, you know how rare peace and quiet can be. Well, on this one particular morning, he had just settled into work. His glass was balanced on his nose and his quill was in hand, and he was going through some records. And he wasn't in there for more than a few minutes before, sure enough, he heard the little feet running up the hall, and he heard that happy sound of, "Papa, Papa, you won't believe what I did, Papa. Papa, this is the most wonderful thing in the world." And he looked over, and sure enough, there stood his 8-year-old boy with a tangled, gloppy mess of paper. And the father raised his eyebrow and said, "My son, what did you do?" And he says, "Mother and cook taught me how to take starchy flour and water and make paste. And now, Papa, look, I can paste together anything I want. Isn't that wonderful, Papa?" And the man said, "Yes, son, that's a wonderful thing to be able to paste things together. I'm very glad that you've discovered this. Now, what you could do, though, maybe is go ahead and do some other things because I really need to get back to work." And the son's like, "Of course, Papa. I know you're very important. You're very busy. Thank you, Papa. Bye." And off he ran. Well, folks, it didn't take very long. It wasn't more than about 10 or 15 minutes before the little boy was back. And he comes screeching into the room. "Papa, Papa, look what I got, Papa. It's the most wonderful thing, Papa. Look." And he holds his hands out to his father. The father sets down his glass and puts down the quill, and he says, "What is it that you have, son?" And the boy opens up his hands, and sitting in his hands is a fuzzy, wiggly, multicolored caterpillar. He says, "Isn't that the most wonderful caterpillar, Papa? Look at my caterpillar. Isn't it wonderful?" And the father says, "Yes, son, that's very colorful, very fuzzy, very wiggly. But do you know what would be the best thing to do with your caterpillar friend?" "No, Papa," said the boy. "What would be the best thing to do?" He said, "If you took it back to where you found it and put him back where he came from, he could live a long, happy life, and you could look at him whenever you wanted." "Papa, that's a wonderful idea. You're so smart, Papa." And out the little boy went. Well, folks, I don't have to tell you, he was back again a few minutes later and back again a few minutes after that until it got to the point that his father had almost given up on his chores that day. He knew studying was going to be out of the question, but he really needed to find an answer for his king. And the son came screeching back in again. Once it was shortly before lunchtime. He was like, "Papa, Papa, look what I did." And before he could say anything else, he stopped and he said, "My son, I have a challenge for you." "A challenge for me?" "Yes, my son, I have a challenge for you. I have a test, maybe even a quest, an adventure." "Oh, Papa, I love adventures. Adventures are the most wonderfulest thing in the whole world. What would you have me do, Papa?" And the father says, "You stand right here and watch this." And the man got up from his desk, walked across his study to the big bookshelves on the wall. And he took down a great, huge, massive atlas, a collection of maps from all around the kingdom and all of their neighbors. And he opened the atlas up until he found the particular page that had a large hand-drawn image of a map of the entire known world. And much to the surprise of the young boy, he tore the page right out of the atlas. "Papa, you wreck a book! Papa, you never wreck books." And he said, "For you, I will do this one time. Watch this." And he took the large page and he tore it again. And he tore it again. And he tore it again and again and again until the page was torn up into about 100 pieces. And he said, my son, come here. Here is your quest. And he dropped all those little pieces of paper into his son's hands. And he says, you take this to Cook in the kitchen. You sit down at the table. Ask Cook or Mother to help you make up some of that paste that you had this morning. You go ahead and paste this map back together so it's just the way it looks, so it's just the way it should be. And when you have it all put back together, so I can read the whole map, you come and let me know. And we will sit together, we'll study the map together, we'll have a cup together, and we'll enjoy some time. Papa, that's the most wonderfulest thing ever. I love adventures. Thank you, Papa. You're so smart. And the little boy takes the paper, and of course, he's gone. Now, the father thinks he's arranged himself a nice, quiet afternoon. But we know. It's not even an hour later. That little boy comes running back into his father's study. Papa, come look what I did. It's so wonderful, Papa. Come look what I did. And the father's like, what is it that you're doing? And he says, I put the map back together. Oh, Papa, come see. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. And the father stops. He says, do you mean to tell me that you took all of those little pieces of paper and put them all back together again so that we can read it? And you did it all in this time? Yes, Papa, it's all done. And it's wonderful. Come see. Well, the father has no choice. He stands up, he lays down his quill, and he sets down his glass, and he follows the boy into the kitchen. And as they walk into the kitchen, he is stunned to see that there on the table, there is the map all together. And he can tell it's in order. He can look quickly, and he can see the outlines of the countries, all the lands of the known world. And he can see that the son has completed this task in such a short period of time. And he asked his boy, he said, my son, did Mother help you put the map back together? Oh, no, Papa. No, Papa. Mother and Cook helped me make the paste, but I did it all by myself. And the father looked across the kitchen to the cook and he said, my son, did Cook help you put the map together? No, Papa, I did it. And behind the boy, the cook's like, nothing to do with it. And Papa said, okay. You have to tell me, how did you take all those little pieces and put them all back together again in such a short period of time? And the little boy said, Papa, you remember a few weeks back, you said I was being especially pestery, and you sat me down in the corner of your study, and you took down that same atlas, that same big map book, and you put it in my lap and told me to read through it and study all the pretty maps while you did your work? And the Papa said, yes, I remember that. He said, well, that day, Papa, I looked at that big map. Oh, it's the most wonderful map. And when I turned the page away from the map, Papa, I saw that on the other side of the map, there was a picture of a man. So when you tore the map all up, Papa, and I sat down and I was so concerned I wouldn't be able to do the quest, I wouldn't be able to do the adventure. But I remembered that on the other side of the map, Papa, there was the picture of the man. And Papa, I figured out all by myself that if I got the man right, the world would be right. Well, the father dropped his head and caught his breath and looked up into his son's eyes, and he said, my boy, you are wise beyond your years. Such a wonderful idea you had. If you get the man right, the world will be right. You did well. You've completed your quest. You finished the adventure. Let us grab a cup of cider and we will sit and enjoy your map together. I'm very proud of you, young man. I'm very proud indeed. And what a wonderful lesson it is for all of us to learn that sometimes in the midst of innocence, we can discover the most profound wisdom. I do thank you for joining us today, friends. This has been a joy to tell this story. I have little ones. I have I'm thinking about one particular grandson right now that I think this would be a wonderful adventure for them. I do bid you to take good care of yourselves today and of each other. Please feel free, if you've enjoyed this story, to share it with your friends and to give it the like and all that stuff on Facebook. And of course, we do welcome those coffees if you want to throw them along, but I'm just happy to have you here. Peace to you all. Take good care, and we will see you soon. Cheers.